Have you noticed something? People don't wait anymore. They don't stand in queues looking around. They don't sit quietly with a cup of coffee. They don't drive without music. They don't even walk from one room to another without checking their phone. It's almost as though every empty moment has become something we need to escape, because we've become terrified of absolutely nothing. Not danger, not pain, not silence, just a few moments where nothing is happening. And that's a remarkable change in human history, because for thousands of years, boredom wasn't considered a problem. It was simply part of being alive. Waiting for the rain, watching the fire, walking home, sitting beneath a tree, looking out of the window, doing nothing. And yet, somewhere along the way, we decided that every second had to be filled, every pause interrupted, every silence occupied, every spare moment entertained, without really noticing it. We've forgotten how to be bored. And what's fascinating is that boredom has an incredibly bad reputation. People say, "I'm bored," as though it's something terrible. But what if boredom was never the problem? What if boredom was actually one of the healthiest psychological states we experience? Because boredom isn't emptiness, it's space. And space is where the mind begins to wander, where imagination starts, where memories surface. It's where ideas connect, where creativity quietly begins. But none of that can happen if we never stop consuming. Think back to when you were a child. Long before smartphones, before endless scrolling, before notifications followed you everywhere. What happened when you were bored? You made something. You built a den. You climbed a tree. You kicked a football against the wall. You drew pictures. You invented games. You created stories. Your imagination filled the empty space. Boredom forced your brain to become creative. But today, we don't even give it the opportunity. Because the moment boredom arrives, out comes the phone. We've trained ourselves to believe that every uncomfortable feeling should immediately disappear. If you're hungry, eat. Sad, distract yourself. Lonely, scroll. Waiting, watch something. Walking, listen to something. Falling asleep, play a podcast. You see, every tiny gap is filled before our minds have a chance to breathe. But the human brain evolved without gaps. It expects them, it needs them, because those gaps are where it quietly processes life. Now, there's a wonderful metaphor I often think about. Imagine a snow globe. Shake it constantly, and the water never clears. The glitter spins endlessly. Everything remains cloudy. That's what modern minds feel like. Constant movement, constant information, constant stimulation, no clarity. But put the snow globe down, leave it alone, do nothing, and slowly, without any effort, everything settles. You see, you don't force clarity, you allow it. The human mind works in remarkably similar ways. Sometimes the greatest thing you can do is absolutely nothing. Science has repeatedly shown that when our minds wander, something remarkable happens. different areas of the brain begin communicating with one another. Problems are solved, ideas emerge, connections appear seemingly from nowhere. It's why people suddenly find the answers while taking a shower, walking the dog, driving home, gardening, or lying awake in bed. Not because they were trying harder, but because they finally stopped trying altogether. And perhaps that's why so many people say, I don't know who I am anymore. Maybe it's because they've stopped giving themselves the space to discover the answer. Identity doesn't emerge from constant consumption. It emerges through reflection, through observation, through moments where nothing is demanding your attention. Without silence, you can hear everybody else's voice, but never your own. Modern life almost rewards constant stimulation. If you're busy, you appear successful. If you're always connected, you appear productive. If you're always constantly consuming, it feels like you're learning. But activity isn't the same as growth. Sometimes the busiest minds are the ones moving the least. They're simply running faster on the same psychological treadmill. And there's another irony here. Many people complain they can't think clearly, yet they've unknowingly removed every opportunity for clear thinking. They've eliminated boredom, which means they've eliminated stillness, which then means they've eliminated reflection, which then means they've eliminated clarity. And then they wonder why they feel life is overwhelming. Now, I'm not suggesting we throw away technology, far from it. Technology has transformed our lives in extraordinary ways. The issue isn't the technology, it's our relationship with it. It's the inability to leave empty spaces empty, to simply be. Without reaching for something, without filling the silence, without needing constant input. Perhaps boredom isn't asking us to find entertainment. Perhaps it's asking us to rediscover ourselves. Because underneath the restlessness, the urge to check, the need to scroll, the discomfort is something incredibly valuable. Your own mind. Simply waiting patiently to be finally heard. So perhaps this week, don't rush to fill every gap. Leave your phone inside while you make a cup of tea. Sit in your garden for 10 minutes. Drive without music. Watch the clouds. Take a walk without listening to anything. Allow yourself to become bored. Not because boredom is the goal, but because what comes after boredom often changes everything. We've spent years teaching ourselves how to escape silence. Maybe the next stage of human evolution is learning how to return to it. Because perhaps the greatest ideas, the deepest peace, and the clearest understanding of who you are have been patiently waiting on the other side of boredom. And in my closing comments, if this made you stop and think, I'd love to hear and know your experience. When was the last time you were truly bored? What happened when you let yourself stay there? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this series of exploring psychology of modern humanity, I'd love for you to subscribe and join me for the next conversation.